a story that has impacted bilateral relations or threatens to do so at least. 10 days since a Nepalese student's death by suicide in KIIT in Odisha caused uproar across both India and Nepal, the National Human Rights Commission in Nepal has now approached their Indian counterparts demanding an investigation into the alleged ill-treatment of that student at the hands of some officials at the private university in Bhubaneswar, demanding justice following the death of a BTech student from Nepal. So far, the Odisha government has ordered a probe into the case. NDTV's Prabhakar Kumar joins me from Bhubaneswar to really give us an update as to how things are looking right now. Prabhakar, first of all, explain to us how things are right now on ground. This is an issue that's not dying down. Far from it, in fact. There have been parallel reports that are coming in terms of what's happening on ground. Tell us the situation.
See, as far as the situation inside the campus is concerned, most of the Nepalese students who had actually been sent to their respective homes, they have returned back. And those who had not left, they are now inside their hostels. They have resumed their classes. So the administration of the KIIT University on its part, when they issued an order for the Nepali students to vacate the campus, and immediately after which the Prime Minister of Nepal intervened, they immediately contacted all the parents and the students. They also held a Zoom meeting with them, and they were requested that the order was rolled back, and they were requested to come back to the campus as soon as possible, assuring them all help and no punitive action against them. So most of them, they have returned back. They have resumed their classes. As far as the investigation in this particular matter is concerned, remember when the Prime Minister of Nepal had intervened in this matter, he had posted on his X account. Then two officials from the Nepali embassy at New Delhi, they were flown in to Bhubaneswar. They were assisting the investigation as far as the local police is concerned. They were in contact with the authorities of the university, and they remained parked there for a few days. They ensured that all the students who had left, or especially from Nepal, they are back into the campus safe and sound. Now this is a fresh development in this case, where the Human Rights Commission of Nepal has been asked to inquire into it, and they are in touch with the National Human Rights Commission New Delhi for a further inquiry into this matter.
All right, Prabhakar, we leave it there. Appreciate you giving us that update. Let's now quickly put those big questions that I think we need to put out before we try and get answers to some of them in this discussion. The first is that can a single case impact India-Nepal ties? Of course, what happened with that girl was very, very disturbing and shocking, but let's not lose sight of the fact that it's a single case. The second question that we are, in fact, I'm going to put to the panel is that what special protections can be given to foreign students? What is it that can really provide them the kind of assurance that it is a single case and should not be seen in a larger context? The third key question that I'm posing today, in fact, viewers, is that should India launch a fresh probe? There are some allegations, there are some possible counter-allegations. At the end of the day, there's uncertainty. Should we have a fresh probe? Let's put that out to Ambassador Ashok Sajjanar, who's joining me on the broadcast. K.S. Tomar, who's also someone who understands Nepal affairs very closely, is also with me on the show. Ambassador Sajjanar, the first question that I want to, in fact, address is that it's a very unfortunate case. We must get to the bottom of it. But we should never lose sight of the fact that it's a single case.
No, absolutely. Thank you very much, Gauri, for having me on the program. You're very right. Our relationship is a very broad-based relationship. It's a very deep relationship. That having been said, there are elements who want to fish in troubled waters. They have their own agenda. They will try to do that. So it is, but notwithstanding what these elements try to vitiate the atmosphere, I think what India really needs to do is, for its own sake, it needs to get to the bottom of this affair, which I think they are doing. The Ministry of External Affairs has got into it. The Chief Minister of Odisha has got into it. They are conducting inquiries, etc. And, as your reporter has also said, in my view, it is very reassuring that all the Nepalese students have come. There have been some instances, some arrests have taken place. So action is being taken against those who have committed mistakes. So I think it should, both sides need to collaborate, both sides need to cooperate, rather than, trying to sort of, fish in troubled waters, so to say.
Mr. Tomar, let me bring you in. Explain to us or talk to us about what exactly is the view in the Nepalese policy corridors. Because, if India is doing everything it possibly can, then why is it creating this atmosphere of mistrust?
Let me tell you very briefly that I have been in Nepal for Hindustan Times for 6 years. That was the transition of democracy in Nepal. So I've seen from the first hand. My experience is for 6 years. So I can tell you the question which you raised now is very, very important. Because first thing, we have to really create the confidence amongst the Nepalese students who are feeling scared now. So what I perceive is that when I was there, there were anti-India forces very active there. So it was Indian Foreign Ministry who used to really take the preventive steps. Now, the same thing may happen now. I don't know exactly how much active they are, but these nationalist forces may exploit it and projecting it that Nepalese students are very unsafe in India, which is wrong. Because there are three takeaways from my assessment and analysis. First take that we must prepare the future action plan. That is, embassies or foreign ministries of both countries, officials should sit together and they must prepare the action plan for the security, for the removal of any chances of ill treatment, and then finally accountability of the institutions. As you know, in Nepal, there are not so many higher institutions.
You're right about all three of them, sir.
Travel to India.
You're right about all three of
yes.
them. I'm just coming there in between because I want to address some of the other issues as well that I raised, and I'm going to give you a chance on that as well.
I was trying to tell, the other thing was that both the officials of Indian Embassy and even Prime Minister of Nepal, KPS Oli has taken very appreciative step. Exactly. He has not escalated it. He's rather sent the message to Indian officials or Indian Foreign Ministry that let us tackle it. And the inquiry should be held impartially. That is what the first step should be there.
Exactly. And the Odisha Chief Minister is also raising... just a second, sir. I have another follow-up question, and then I'm going to come in and get you a chance to respond to that. Ambassador Sajjanar, you mentioned about that, some elements are trying to fish in troubled waters. Who are these elements and who stands to gain that a single issue becomes wider in terms of a possible diplomatic escalation between India and Nepal? Who stands to gain?
Gauri, relations between two neighboring countries are always very, very sensitive. So they have to be handled very carefully. Even when there are no issues, they can be the political, those who are, anti-Indian forces, they can, try to do something. What happened as far as the Lipuliek border was concerned, as far as, and it was made into such a big issue when a road was constructed, that there were 3 areas which Nepal then started claiming, and then they changed their constitution and they issued maps and issued coins, etc., etc. So I think we know that there are anti-Indian elements. KP Sharma Oli, who's the current prime minister, he does, resort to hyper-nationalism. Basically, last time he tried to do that to stay in power. I'm sorry. So we have to be very mindful of such elements and such forces. I'm very happy to see if the Prime Minister is behaving in a very responsible manner this time. We need to promote and encourage the responsible voices coming out of Nepal and do everything, leave no stone unturned, reach out to the Nepalese students so that they are able to send out a message also to their own people that, we are safe. Responding to your second question,
yes.
What does India need to do?
Yes.
I think we really need to establish helplines in all such educational institutions.
That's a fantastic point you've made.
Yeah, senior person, put in place so that if there is any, because this young
See,
girl...
essentially it is about ensuring that the students have recourse. And I think that is the
Yes,
most
exactly.
important part. Mr. Tomar, you had a point to make, sir, quickly.
Yes, I was trying to tell you that when we, see this from an in-depth angle, then it is the communists who were there, who were always inciting. But now they are in power. So there is no chance of any escalation now. And second thing is that we have got ages-old relations. So isolated incident cannot really swell up in a bigger one, and these anti-national forces or anti-India forces or so-called nationalist forces can be controlled by the Kathmandu government. It is their onus is on them. India has done maximum, arrested, as my colleague also said, and arrested the persons who were found, who may be found guilty. But main thing is that to recreate the confidence amongst the Nepali students who are in Bhubaneswar or have gone back to Kathmandu. So it is the duty of, and especially when Nepalese embassy in Delhi, officials have already rushed to Bhubaneswar. So they are already at work. So similarly, Indian officials should also join them. And if need, delegation of the officials should go to Kathmandu also. And Indian embassy in Kathmandu should cooperate and counsel on the students that they are safe. And this is an isolated incident which should not be allowed to swell up and allow the anti-Indian forces, which are not in plenty now, because communists are in power.
Let's leave it there.
That is what I feel, that both sides are doing well. There is nothing to settle the score. So that way, the Indian foreign ministry and Nepalese foreign minister, they are working in tandem. That
leave
is
it there,
very,
sir.
very important.
Thank you so much for taking out the time, both of you,
and
joining me on a very sensitive
Thank you.
issue.
Very nice to talk to you.
Thank you very much.
A very sensitive issue. And, well, bottom line, viewers, is that this is a single isolated incident. One where a Nepalese student may have been wronged. But this is what I want to say to all those young Nepalis wanting to study in India. There are over 13,000 Nepali students studying in India, comprising 28% of the total international students in India, requiring no special visa, just a valid travel document. That's how India embraces its Nepali students. And post-studies, if you want to find employment in India, we have never discriminated against you. All you need is appropriate visas that are required for working. So a single isolated case cannot be the benchmark to make broad, sweeping statements about India-Nepal relationship. And as far as this case is concerned, the conduct of the private university has been shocking, and the government must first act against the university and then ensure that it provides assurances to international students, particularly those coming from Nepal.